different because it's a light orb. It's any different from what people see visually from the ground. It's a orb of orange light, and that's what we see up in space. The same type of image. It doesn't seem to have a structure. Seems to be all energy.
Stop right there. Stop.
I was tired, man. What's up,
There,
John Ramirez?
are you suggesting that the orbs are an energy and not of the physical?
Oh man.
Metallic, nuts and bolts, rivets.
Well, it's not what we call, it's physical, but it's not structured craft.
Wake up feeling like shit's crazy.
I don't think it's structured craft. I don't think it's like one of the many classic shapes that people have seen UFOs in. It is a manifestation of some kind of energy. And my personal experience is that it is a manifestation of conscious energy, of the non-human intelligence consciousness. Because when I saw an orb, it communicated with me. When other people have seen orbs, they communicated with them.
How clear were these pictures?
It was orange ball.
Well, I mean,
it's no different. I mean, it's not like, you draw an orange light
about the kratom.
orb,
Kratom's good.
and there's no structure to it, so it doesn't matter if it's like detailed or not detailed. It was an orange orb. It was just
what I'm referring to, John, and I'm not being cavalier at all, but what I'm referring to is when you look at the FLIR imaging, or you look at the Tic Tac video, that could be anything. It's blurry. It's second, third, fourth generation shot on a cell phone off of a screen. Or, it's not high def. The other imaging that we have seen, even like the Go Fast, you look, it's crap, right? So that's what I'm asking you. Is
I mean,
look at that image. Right. It was an image.
It was an image of an orange ball of light, and I've seen. Personally, not through CIA, but personally outside of an airplane window, from a flight from Baltimore Washington International to I guess LAX. We're flying over the southwest, and outside the right side window, I saw an orange orb also, and that orange orb was noted by the cockpit. And they actually, I was monitoring United Airlines back then on a certain channel. You can actually hear the air traffic control talking to the cockpit back in the day before 9/11. And so I was monitoring that because I'm such an aircraft geek. I love that. And so the pilot or co-pilot reported to the ground. Yeah, there's an object that's crossing my path from left to right. And do you have it on radar? And the guy said, no, we don't have anything. And it's now past us, and it's going to my right. And the guy on the ground says, do you want to report it? And the cockpit said, no, we don't. And I looked out, and there it was. It was an orange orb.
You know what's interesting about that?
My energy, dude.
Oh, it is.
That's where the Nimitz incident happened.
Feel nice, man.
Southwest of LAX is Catalina Island.
Oh, no, I was in the southwest of the United States.
Oh, I thought you said LAX.
LAX. It's BWI to LAX was the trip. And on that flight path, we were over the southwest United States.
Oh, gotcha.
And the north of us, or probably Nevada. Everything is kind of strange in Nevada.
Right.
And one of the things that I think I can say. Well, sure, I'll say it. I'll get the phone call. I think one of the things that was not talked about was like the appearance of these craft from the Arctic Circle going to the Antarctic, pole to pole.
Right.
Right. And sometimes they would peel off. And so you have two coming down from the north going to the South Pole, and one would continue and the other would peel off toward Nevada. And the other one keep going into the Antarctic. And so I would say, that's probably something that's within the holdings of Errol, because I think that happened under the purview of the UAP task force. They looked at 2004 to 2021. And so I won't say when it happened, but it was between 2004 Tic Tac and 2021 when the report came out. One of the 144 which 3 we know is Go Fast Gimbal Tic Tac. One was a balloon, and one of the 140 must have been, or two of the 140 must have been these objects that I think NORAD knew about. And so going back to Kirkpatrick's, briefing or testimony in front of the Senate committee, they have a lot of data, and that goes into the that's interesting data.
If we go back, you mentioned Chris Bledsoe, and before that, Tom DeLonge only did a couple of interviews. One of them was here on Fade to Black. And I'm so glad we did that interview. It was probably 2016, right in that area. Might have been 2017. But one of the things that DeLonge said in that interview has stayed with me over the years. And he said, you got to be careful about who you're reaching out to consciously when you see something in the sky. You don't know who they are or what they're about. You need to be very careful. And he said it could be, and now he added this religious context to it. And then Chris Bledsoe comes along again, Orange Orbs, right? And brings in this question, his new book, UFO of God. And DeLonge and Chris and others, and we talk about Diana Pasulka too as well, and others, that say that inside of the agencies, inside of the Beltway, inside of the Department of Defense, there is a large chunk of those that feel that this is a religious thing. This could even be demonic. Something with a bad intention. When you hear that, and you know about Bledsoe and certainly Tom DeLonge and others,
there's a flying saucer above the horse guy, dude.
I would say that first of all, they were given the moniker Collins Elite. You probably heard that.
God,
I don't know, of course, what they call themselves. I do know that there was or is a group of individuals who are extremely religious, and not to disparage anyone's religion, but it's a heartfelt belief that what we are witnessing is a manifestation of satanic forces. I don't happen to ascribe to that feeling that it's satanic necessarily, but is it strange? Yes, I think it's like strange. They're like manifestations of what some people call the trickster element in all of this. That, they may disguise themselves as something and not be that. And some people believe that, the mantis beings or the reptilians are like tricksters, and the ones that look like us are cool. They're fine. It could be the other way around. You don't know because of the trickster element. You don't know who's walking through that door. I would say this, that there has been a warning provided to the U.S. government not to go to the dark side, the far side of the moon, that stay away from that dark side. And when remote viewers try to remote view the dark side of the moon, they encounter these beings who warn them, do not ever come back again. And then the remote viewer will report that, say, yes, I encountered these non-human intelligences, and they said, do not come to the far side of the moon ever again. And so there's that.
What happened? You know what happened today?
What happened?
Japan tried to land on the far side of the moon.
Oh, did they make it?
Nope.
You know who did make it? China. And China,
check this out. Their rover is now inactive. They say it's covered in moon dust and it won't run anymore. That's their story. They're still
it's been working for quite some time, and so
about a year. Israel tried to land there. They crashed as well. But I've always found that pretty compelling.
Right? Yeah. On that side of the moon, since the moon doesn't rotate, it does rotate, but the same face is always there, so that's the side you see. If you go on the dark side of the moon, you need to communicate to Earth. You're not going to be able to do it.
No, you're not going to be able to do it. And it's only the dark side of the moon half of the day. It's lit up just like anything else the other half of the day. Most people don't understand that.
That's correct. It's only dark to us.
It's only dark
because we can't see it. But when we have the new moon up, when it's dark, the side we do see is dark. We don't. The other side is lit. So there's that, and I would say beware of who you communicate with.
Why do you think, in the short time that we have left, excellent conversation tonight, John, by the way, excellent.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
It's so much fun, fun. And by the way, you can send my CIA t-shirt. You need to sign it though. You need to is this with there seems to be a switch that has been flipped. And I bring that up because the CIA has their entertainment division. They liaison with Hollywood and other media. This is go to the CIA website and look it up. I have many times because it's very interesting reading. Everything from scripts and story ideas, omissions. Maybe you need to remove something. Maybe you need to add something. Can we suggest? So there is all of that.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, the media, at all of it, suddenly is free to discuss this very important subject where it wasn't like this in the past.
Right.
Who has flipped this switch? Why is it now okay for the media to go at this hard and heavy?
The media could have done it all the time. I think in the past, they may have kowtowed to the intelligence community because they want access to other things. Because as a journalist, you get deep background information that will help you do your work as a journalist to get stuff that's in the open. So they tell you stuff in a deep background. So this is what's really going on. And then you're clued into, okay, I know what sources to go to in the open source. They don't want that to stop. As a correspondent, you don't want that channel to stop at all, to dry up.
So I could go from California.
And so I think that was the leverage that the government had on these journalists. But now, because we want this out in the open, everything's fair game. I think everything's fair game, and I think that's the switch that was thrown, was helped by the fact that in 2017. The New York Times published that the Pentagon had this so-called secret UFO study group, and that's been in operation since like 2007, 2008. That went a long way in the release of those 3 videos. And so now you have people who feel more comfortable coming forward. And so you have me, you have others, you have Jim Simivan, who went to TTSA, you have Lozano doing his thing, Chris Mellon, and many, many others who are coming forward and say, well, I don't know everything, and I don't know everything, but I won't make up anything I don't know. If I don't know it, I don't know it. But we're coming forward with what we do know in these different types of ways, these venues like Fade to Black, where we can share with your audience what we know. And so that switch was like, it's time to share. I mean, why have this monopoly over this information? What good is it doing? The Air Force can't make what it built fly any higher, any faster, and stay any more hidden than it is now. They're hit a roadblock, the brick wall, because the people who worked on these projects, they're stovepiped. And as Dr. Eric Davis said, that if you're in a team and you hit a stovepipe and you hit a brick wall and you're in a stovepipe, you can't go to another group to say, help me out, because you don't even know that group exists. So if you're done, you're done. And so there's that, there's just no sharing, but now there is. Why keep it secret? There's nothing secret about this at all. Why is it secret? I don't know why it's classified, other than we're classifying what we derive from the technology. But why is the technology itself secret? It belongs to everyone on the planet. It doesn't belong to any government.
But that's exactly the point. So if the line in the sand is crossed, right? This little nugget, like you said, it only has to be this simple. right? It is happening. Now let's take it a step further and figure out the who, what, when, where, and why.
Yeah.
So if that line in the sand is crossed, do you know something? Will you then come forward? Are there
absolutely? I am. Call me up on the phone. I'm absolutely ready to step forward and do whatever I can in a more official capacity to bring this to light. I am ready and willing to do so. And if I'm able to talk more about things that I couldn't talk about with you, for example, tonight,
right?
And if they allow me to, I'm going to tell them anything I can, because it's so important for us as the people of Earth to understand our role on this planet, and the possibility that if we come together as a planet and stop fighting these little tribal wars, which they probably think we're so primitive, we're fighting amongst ourselves. Look at these guys, they're fighting amongst themselves, and they're going to blow each other up with these nuclear weapons. We get past that, and then we can join them as a space-faring planet, go out there and explore the universe, and then bring technologies that help people on this planet, not the military-industrial complex. I don't want to help them, because they're just going to figure out a way to weaponize everything. That's their mindset. Let's make it a weapon and make it better than the other guy's weapon. I don't want that. I'm sick of that. I want us to go forward and progress as humans of this planet Earth together, so that we can become a spacefaring nation and explore the rest of the universe and bring technologies back to Earth that can help us with climate, with air pollution, with everything, even like cures for diseases, if not.
Yeah, sure.
Everything like that. So I think that's the goal we should have, and I don't want any particular flag to be planted claiming that as a monopoly.
Are you protected by the amendments? Do you feel?
I feel very protected. Absolutely. The legislation in the AA.
Yes,
absolutely. And that's why I'm a little more bold in what I reveal than I did when in 2021, when I didn't think the legislation was strong enough. It is now strong enough that I feel very much protected. I know that the People's House of Representatives and the Senate have my back, that I am protected by the laws of the United States of America, which the military-industrial complex also need to follow and not ignore.
Well, okay, so 25 years, I'm assuming you've got, your retirement package, and all of that, that's a considerate, your family and everything else, and you got to keep the lights on.
Sure.
You don't want that jeopardized. Do you think that is enough motivation for others to go ahead and come forward, maybe speak to Congress, or speak on Capitol Hill, speak to the Senate?
Yes.
And be very frank and open?
To be very frank, yes. And in fact, I don't feel jeopardized at all, because CIA does not control my retirement salary. It goes to the Office of Personnel Management, which controls the retirements of the entire federal workforce. So CIA has nothing to do with what I earn as a retiree of the CIA. It's in the Office of Personnel Management and the Social Security Administration, and I happen to have an IRA with my bank. So there's my sources of income. For others, Kirkpatrick, if you look at the transcript of what he said there were like 24 people that he has spoken to that come forward to talk to Errol.
Very important statement that he made, by the way.
Yeah.
Not enough attention was paid to that.
Yeah.
Were you one of those 24?
No, as I stated before, I did receive a way to contact him directly, but I didn't feel like I needed to, because I felt like, I don't really have any more information that he could use that he already has. Believe me, Errol has a lot of information that came from the UAP task force, that came from ATIP, that came from ALSAP and other government efforts into studying this entire subject matter. So he has that. He has a big repository, and his challenge is trying to go through it and resolve all of the cases that he has. That's this thing, that's where the discussion went toward, do you have enough people? Do you have staffing? What do you need? Do you have cooperation? Senator Gillibrand says, what can I do to help make your job easier? What laws can I write to make your job easier?
Yeah, she said, I'll write you a letter right now. I'll start.
Yeah. You know, he has a small staff. And so that's why he has to go back to the major agency and says, okay, this is Arrow's problem. This is your problem, but you owe us an answer. You do the work and you give us the answer. And so that's what he calls somebody else's problem, you know, but that's what he meant.
One last question, but
sure.
I'm saving the best for last, John.
All right.
The Wilson Davis memo and document. I believe that it's an authentic document. It's notes from a conversation. So that part of it, it's an authentic. It's not a government document. Doesn't have a document number. It's not classified.
Personal notes.
Yeah, personal notes.
Sure.
But do you believe that the conversation happened between Thomas Wilson and Dr. Eric Davis the way it was presented in those notes?
If those are Eric Davis's notes,
I had fucking 30
the man is honest to a T. He actually applied for a job at CIA, and I got his application papers in my office when I was a branch chief.
Really?
I could not hire him because he was basically overqualified as a PhD in physics. I just needed a guy with a master's degree, and I thought he would be bored. I regret that decision because soon after his application paper came and I rejected it, I needed to send people to the Orb Working Group, and he would have been ideal to send to the Orb Working Group. It would not surprise me that he actually was a participant in that working group, because that followed into ALSAP, which he did participate in. This guy is as honest as you can have. I mean, the guy cannot lie, I don't think. Very honest person. And if he says he does not acknowledge that he wrote them, I don't think, but I think he will. I think there will be information coming out that those notes were real. And that conversation
really part of the congressional record.
Right. It's part, but that doesn't say it's real. It's like,
say it's real.
Let's read it into the record, and it's part of the congressional record. So at least there's that. I'm hoping that Dr. Davis will be one of the people that will come forward.
Well, I would say that he has to. And he has to, for one, the quote attributed to him in the New York Times that he said he
John Ramirez.
Did that conversation really happen with Eric? And of course, Admiral Wilson, I think, should come forward too and testify to that as well.
I have some thoughts about that, which I think are true. But if you want, let's put it that way. I do think we have craft that can fly, but it's not an alien reproduction vehicle. If we have a craft that can fly, it's nothing we would build, because if we build something, it's going to fly, even if it has plain old jet engine.
Thomas Fessler's tripping, bruh. And Larry Gert. What are they talking about?
Exotic like that. It could have scramjets. That's another exotic propulsion technology. It may have that, but it's going to fly. But if we have something that can't fly, that tells me, reading behind the lines, that it's a fully formed, intact, non-crashed vehicle that they can't make work. And so that's where I would go, that's interesting. It's either at Skunkworks, or let's not forget Boeing Phantom Works. It's the other partner in crime. So everybody looks at Skunkworks, but there's also Phantom Works, and Northrop Grumman has their own little thing going on as well. And so those three contractors, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, and Lockheed Martin, those are the three aerospace contractors.
Air Force Plant 42.
42, yeah, exactly. Near Palmdale. You're very familiar with that place.
You know what's when I have guests over at the house, John, they don't want to come in and see my guitars. They want to go down the street. And I'll take them to the front gate. was a perfect night on Fade to Black. And now I want to remind everyone, John runs, he doesn't have any of that social media and all that other stuff. But if you need to get a hold of John or you got anything to say, you can do that through me, not a problem. And what a great way to kick off this week here on Fade to Black. Tomorrow night, Richard Bleepin Dolan is with us. I want to thank John Ramirez again, getting out there and doing what he's doing right now for our community. It's a big part of where we are and how we are moving forward. Thank you so much, John. Fade to Black is produced by Hill J. Paul Renee.
Damn, that's a cool guitar.
As it turns out, we can use the same thing with UFOs.
Fuck Paul Cook. Fuck Paul Cook. Paul Cook is a bitch for trying to pull on copy strikes when he fucking was doing the shows with my friend. And he tries to pull copyright strikes on. It's just stupid as hell. Oh wait, they're probably just about to get off because they're gonna go watch Spaced Out Radio or some shit.
Maybe we'll see him on Goofon soon. But I have to say, Rich has actually toned down his rhetoric more than Avi Lube has. Avi seems to be racing it up. Oh my God, I got something good. James Fox did his recording for the podcast that drops tomorrow with Joe Rogan. Oh. So listening to Joe Rogan, that is coming out tomorrow. Yeah, but if he needs to bring John Valley with him again,
God, my fucking back, dude.
Is,
some oxycodones.
Like you would never believe. I think he was on with Rogan before with Fox and Valley. Yes, when he did the Phenomenon, I think it was back in 2012.
Legalize opioids. Legalize opioids for pain patients.
You know, it's up one day, down the other day, and you know, it's great to hear some news. Great to hear a good old talk from Danny Sheehan. Any day, it's he'll put a smile on your face and make you feel better about the situation and where we are. No, we haven't moved much. It's slow. Time marches.
Soda.
Just keep all of our excitement tempered. Remember, Lou said this is a marathon. It's not a race. But maybe that's why Lou's keeping himself so much under the rug these days and out of the public eye now. But he did do some retweets lately. Right around the hearing, he retweeted a bunch of things from other things.
Soda.
It's not like Jennifer was silent. And, well, I mean, Lou was silent for tweeting stuff. You know, Jennifer and Lou, they work together as a great team. Love you, Jennifer.
Oh, is it not showing anything?
Would not be the same with Lou would not be the same without his wife. Now, if I didn't have my ex-wife, I'd be $1 million richer and a lot happier.
It really sucked. I was reading the Popular Mechanics article about Lou Elizondo. When he lost his pension at the Pentagon, he was living in some trailer and he couldn't even get clean water.
He was living in a trailer in an old aircraft hangar with his wife in a trailer, and there were like rats running around and everything else.
Thank you so much, Human Carl. We love you.
Was not fun.
Jeff Steve Garvey, he'll hit a home run for you.
Screwed him over for a while. He thought everything was going great with him being part of TTSA. Lou didn't get a lot out of TTSA. Got a lot of hot air out of some people, but you know what? He's moved on, and we got to give it to Lou. He just doesn't say anything about those days.
Let's start the radio side, so that way we could get Bill
W40
into our chat room there. He's going to lube us up for tonight's show
because
he
he had Title 50 clearances. So
Laura Lobbs, nice to have you back. Stargazer, thanks for coming on in.
Which is like
and let's see, where else are we here? Rugged Source, Noodles. Good to have you both here. McGahee. It is McGahee. Okay,
what is that?
Got it. I did have it right the
Larry,
second time.
You've got your
Thank
hand
you.
up as we.
Kim and Ari, welcome to SOR chat, even though your picture looks familiar.
Sure. I was just going to remark that this was the first time I really understood.
Love, nice to see you. Monica, we love you. Jeanette Angel, welcome to SOR chat. Good morning from the UK, my fellow Commonwealther. Rono,
nice to see you this
case
morning. That triggered
Mike
Lou
Bothwell. Good to have you here. All right.
Worried about
Super Chat
security.
is open. Our store is open on our website,
nobody wanted to look at it, and that troubled him even more.
Grandmaster, what's happening?
And that's how it all got started.
Yeah, but he found a lot more stuff besides Maelstrom. It was the unwillingness for the leadership in the DOD. It was the people who were part of probably the Air Force and others in the leadership of the DOD that were there looking at this from a religious aspect of, oh my God, we're dealing with the devil himself. We can't look at this.
Haven't you read your Bible, Lou?
It is written. Yes, as we shout. So, anyway, what a great show. Great conversation of everything going on tonight. Always wonderful to go ahead and watch good old Danny.
I am your host,
On
Dave
that
Scott,
note,
sitting in the captain's chair.
yes, maybe I am, but
headquarters.
that's okay.
We welcome you
I want to go ahead and thank our audience for some wonderful super chats today. Holy cow, that I missed any? No, we didn't miss one. We got Mr. Fleet Gomez. Thank you very much. Blackpink needs to be disbanded. Twice ended them. I looked for Blackpink. I didn't find them. What do you mean, Fleet Gomez? Ant-Man is around. Good to see Ant-Man. Thanks for that super chat. And oh my God, Michael Sukalov, thank you for your ongoing support. And then Mr. Fred Herbert, holy cow. Good night, DT family. Thank you very much. It's not just people who have given us some donations. It's all the friends we have in the chat right now. Let's take a look and see who we still have there. Yes, Larry.
I think Blackpink is a Korean pop band who's really actually quite hot. And mostly singing.
Preston Dennett, one of the great authors in our field, as well as Dolly
Bigger Dog, Eli McGinnis, Firefly, Gene Splice, Jan, in
hour
number
again,
3, Jason Brown, Jason Parker, the two Jasons, dueling it out. Kelly Brote, me is here. That could have been I.
It was January
Neo Cal, Owen from Ohio, Paul Christensen, Paul Murphy, Paul Wisham, the three Pauls.
Peter Paul, out of the sky.
No, Sergio Costa, Timmy Misses, Xavier Gamer. Thank you for coming around here tonight. Yellow Tommy Tanker, also known as Andy, is still at work, and of course Zach. And who else is popping up some chats at the last minute? Let's go ahead and take a look and see who's still out there. Scroll us all the way bottom. Rain down fire, you better believe it. Lock your doors. Calls out of the barn. K13, Tommy Misses. Yes, do us a favor. If you haven't subscribed, what the hell are you waiting for? Please subscribe, and if you haven't given us a thumbs up, go ahead and give it to us a thumbs up or thumbs down. I'll take one or the other. We'll take anything you'll give us, my God. Me too, you better believe it on that note. It's not just the people in the back, people in the chat. I also want to thank our friends in the back, actually. Thank you for being here tonight, Larry.
This guy has, I swear he puts out
it was a good show.
Absolutely, Patrick Fogarty, thanks for coming out.
UFOs. You can find him on his website, PrestonDennett.weebly.net.
Yeah, I know we didn't have a lot of time to derail things in the conversation, how that goes, but it was a long video to get through, and we got through it in record time, believe it or not. Also want to thank Tamisha
in this field.
Hi, well, thank you for having me. It was a great night.
Spaced Out Radio. It is always
absolutely thank you for being out here. Say hi to your two little fur babies for me tonight. Give them a big old hug. Larry, quite contrary. Thank you for being here tonight, my friend.
I can't even finish one.
I don't know. I have a disease.
And
can't help it.
No.
I enjoy
and
doing it.
Sawan Patel. Sawan, thank you for being here tonight.
I gotta ask you, okay?
Thank you. Another great show, Thomas.
Won't be much longer that you're more than 2/3 of the country closer than you were before.
And I know the story of how you met because, Preston, you wrote a book
Absolutely.
about
I
Dolly's
appreciate
story,
you all coming out
and
tonight. And as we usually say at the end of our broadcast.
I'm so proud of you guys. But
where's
working together.
As we usually say at the end of our broadcast, everybody, eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.
Increase the woo factor, or how
absolutely, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Good night, everybody.
And the way the stories are
we'll see you soon.
Well, in a couple of ways. Certainly, I get to see all the psychic stuff Dolly displays regularly. We get to go out of body and do that kind of stuff. But I also get to use her as a sounding board for people who send photographs or all the stuff that's on the internet. I'm like, hey, Dolly, look at this photograph of an alien. This one's real, right? Maybe? Nope. Occasionally she says yes. This one looks good. So yeah, that's really interesting to me. She's become my sort of go-to gal to sort of vet some of the reports that I'm getting that are a little questionable. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And Dolly, to get your opinion on this, because I know that when intuitive people come together and people of interest come together, you feed off that energy. And, you may be, say at 50%, but you add in somebody like Preston, that could take that energy and that communication field so much higher. How has that been a change for you, not only with your own contact, but in your own research as well?
I'm more kinetic around him. Things are popping and snapping. We're seeing more stuff. He wasn't joking when I do things. Like I was turning the TV on and off the other night just by waving my hand. And I was like, look. Hey, look. And it went off again and it came on again. And I was like having a good time. And, just little things like that. I'm super organized and he likes to write a lot. And I'm happy to, quietly just let him do his thing while I do my thing. And every now and then we collaborate on stuff. And it just works out really good. I'm more of a nature person. I'm enjoying myself. I'm stranded here right now. And I'm putting it to the max. I go outside and I got chickens. I just put 6 chickens in the coop today. And that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. You both have a love for the subject of UFOs, extraterrestrials, and the contact that goes above it. And what Preston, I think, and it's funny, Nicole Sakic and I talk quite a bit. And we get to brag about your amazing work and how we get all giddy because we get to call you a friend and everything. I mean, the way that you have investigated this subject for the better part of almost 30 years now,
I can fit a bike back here. If it's an electric bike, you can charge it in the bed. And if you're ever on the trails, you have a built-in flashlight. You get these gorgeous 22-inch wheels, beefy all-terrain tires, and the vehicle can actually raise so that whenever you're clearing those obstacles,
a contact situation.
Now that Dolly is here,
and you can bounce things off her, what kind of stories are you now looking for?
Windows down on the door, and the front grille is see-through for more visibility.
Oh,
because it can drive itself, it's pretty minimal. But if I do want to drive, it can do this.
Humanity. I think it's wide open for research. Still lots.
But it gets way crazier. These have built-in mixed reality glasses, and whenever I do gesture controls inside the car,
recent books,
it looks
I had
insane.
no idea. Like,
what is up, guys?
UFOs over drive-ins. That was a thing. I found 100 cases of UFOs over drive-ins.
Sort of.
I asked Dolly about that, and I'm like, I don't suppose you were ever on board a craft when
it's chemically very similar to chlorine.
Showed up.
Except
like,
chlorine.
Well, actually, yeah, we did do that once. So that was cool. See, I learn stuff every time I ask Dolly a question. I'm like, about schoolyards. I'm like, I did a book on schoolyards too. That was another one that really surprised me. I knew, of course, about Rua, Zimbabwe, and Westall High School, and a couple of others. Did not know there was 100 of them. And so I go, Dolly, what's going on here? Why are they doing this? And she pretty much confirmed what I suspected, that it's an introduction, a way of introducing kids to the subject, and then told me about her experience landing at a school. I'm like, I just knew it.
One of the discoveries that emerged.
You two are the power couple of woo.
Quantum theory.
That's all I'm saying. Power couple of
empty space.
I'll tell you, it's cool for me too. He just got into a new database,
full of energy,
and we're having a blast.
Instead of being like kind of a
plowing through it,
empty
he's plowing
lake,
and I'm
like
listening.
Okay,
he's got recordings and all kinds of stuff, and it's like he
basically
dove in with both, and it's been fun. So.
Yeah, I found all the news clippings you could ever want, going all the way back to the 40s to the present.
Kind of artifact of the mathematics.
Well, that's incredible. That's incredible. Working together on this subject, how has the personal contact changed for you guys?
We don't usually notice it because
I'm totally in contact with my Talata all the time.
So it'd be like sitting in a bathtub
Mama
with
frequently, not all the time,
exactly
like
your body temperature.
He interrupts conversations I'm having with them. We'll be listening to something and Talata will pop in with information and talk about it, and I'll repeat it to him.
As I mentioned,
so that's the type of contact I'm having right now, since he's not here with me at all. And I also have been OBE more lately, and so we're upping that game because there's more to learn over that way too. And I've been remote viewing a lot lately, so yeah. And working on getting him to do it.
Dolly's a medium, so she apparently attracts ghosts, which I found out when I go out of body. I'm like, hey, there's people in our house. What is going on? Like, I always ask them their name. One guy says, my name is Thoreau Dean. I'm like, okay, well, you're dead, you know. Another guy says, I'm like, who are you?
But back in
says, my name is Sam.
Research
Dolly knew who that was.
I know Sam.
Forward.
I got a couple that follow me around through life. They don't leave me. I can't convince them to go.
Which
they just show up.
The fact this energy could be tapped.
So.
You know what's really weird is on our YouTube studio here. If you look on our YouTube side where we're live on camera, my lights are flashing.
Energy and the
I see it.
And I'm going to tell you the weird part about this is there are no lights flashing in my studio right now. The lights are all the same.
Well, can we manipulate this?
I've got my little light here, okay, which lights up my big mug, and it only gets about half of it. And then I have a bar of 5 lights right above that. None of them are flashing, and I'm trying to figure out on our YouTube side why all of a sudden we're seeing flashing lights.
Is that if in fact it does look like
it could be a couple reasons. One, I'm really energetic these days, and I could be flashing at you right now. But we've had a couple of CMEs in the last couple of days that are pretty significant, and it's affecting everything. And your camera can pick up the flash of that energy coming through.
Usually here, where Einstein said you can't.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Because I'm literally looking at every spectrum of light here, and nothing is flashing, and it's kind of tripping me out a little bit. Because I love it when weird things happen that I can't explain. And I can understand. Look, like the other night, I had one of my lights. It ended up burning out, but it was doing the final life of how they flash on and off. It was doing that.
So
I got nothing like that right now.
The velocity of light.
Yeah, we really do have a lot of energy. You know how the astronauts will talk about being on the ISS and they'll actually see stuff come through the air, right through the ISS, and it freaks them out. They get it on film and they say, look, and it's ionized protons coming through, and that would be from gamma radiation from the sun. And that's basically what we're having right now is those ionized protons from a CME that was pretty significant. And 2 of them, we have 2 more coming back to back, so you're picking energy. You saw the Aurora Borealis the other day, didn't you?
You know what?
Moving relative to the rest of the universe.
It actually rained here for a day and a half.
Wow.
Now, we don't get rain. That's the first rainfall this year. First rainfall this year. And, now that the snow, it's not snow anymore. We actually got rain. And the last couple of nights that the Northern Lights were supposed to be pretty amazing. I've been clouded out. I haven't seen them, but early, about a month ago, I had them hovering right and dancing right over top of my house, which I posted a bunch to social media of
and so in fact
the Northern Lights. I mean, we had all the spectrum of colors happening over top, and you know what? To be able to catch that is absolutely amazing. It really is. Like the spectrum of lights that we were getting were, like absolutely phenomenal.
If there was a
possibility, and it's just it's incredible. Like you look over your house and there's pink and red and orange and blue and green and yellow. And so they did one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen. But no, otherwise, I've been shut out recently, so I'm not happy about that, because I don't care how long I got to stay up. I will sit there and watch. But I will say this:
so again, there's another indication that
in the world of 2023. Today was the first day that I walked outside without a jacket or hoodie on.
Basically,
that's awesome.
It was 41 degrees out here this morning. That is t-shirt weather in my territory.
Yes, that's amazing. I know I went out in the t-shirt today. It was 53 today, and I was running around out there in shirt sleeves, getting the chickens out, and it's going down to 43 tonight. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't have brought them out this soon, but I fixed them so they're okay.
Go into those conditions.
And this is spring, yay!
Rapid inertia.
Oh yeah, this weekend where I live, it's supposed to get up to about 75 degrees.
Space manipulated conditions.
So I am not prepared for that, but that's okay.
Here at the Institute for Advanced Studies,
that just means that I get to put my top down on my Jeep and go have some fun in the sun. That's
absolutely, yeah.
Let's talk about some UFOs here, because UFOs and experiences is what we are talking tonight with Preston Dennett and Dolly Safran tonight. Preston, is there, in a recent case that really sticks out to you as something that we should pay attention to? Because, and the reason why I ask that is, with everything that's going on governmental-wise with UFOs, it's turned this subject so political right now. And I like getting back to basics, where we're talking to people like you and Dolly regarding this phenomena and the really good cases that you are following. So is there a really good case that's really come to your attention recently?
One of the main
not super recent. No, it's slowed down in terms of people are having extensive contact, which fits in with what Dolly's telling me, that the ETs have largely bugged out. I do interview a lot of people. I'm putting together another book with about 20 new stories, so I'm pretty much involved in wrapping that up, and those cases are wild. I'm amazed at the many different types of ETs people are seeing, all humanoids, but many different types, not just grays, of course. So I'm pretty much wrapped up in that. In terms of new cases, there's one guy I am working with in England who did contact me not too long ago, saying that he did have a recent visitation by a short little AI gray, which would fit in with what Dolly's saying. She says some of those are still here, but for the most part, no. I'm not getting any new recent cases right now.
Yeah, they're flying mostly drones, ET-type drones, and the smaller, the sports models, they can fly those. But it's sporadic. They have to watch out what's happening. SpaceX keeps having problems. Everybody else does too. We're having
catching UFOs
problems with our computers.
Right.
Things are going weird, and it's all related to what's over our heads magnetically. And so they have to be careful. They jump in and they jump out real fast. But it's mostly the AI. If it's a CE5, you can probably get an AI drone to come down, and it's just big enough for two of them to fit in it. And they're capable of watching you and signaling you and doing all kinds of stuff. So that's what I would be looking for.
What I do see is a lot of people waking up right now to their contact. So a lot of people are absolutely losing their minds because they've finally come to grips with the fact that they've had these experiences. And there's enough information out there in the public arena that I think this is getting pushed into the mainstream. People are finding the courage to talk more openly about it. So I think we're turning a corner in some ways, that this is becoming something that people can talk about without fear of ridicule and disbelief.
Absolutely. Now, Dolly, you said something interesting about contact, and I've noticed a lot of people recently have claimed that their contact is down. They're not, or their contact has changed from something really peaceful to something very, very darker than they've ever seen before. Why do we see this change going on?
Because the world governments, the alt governments, have a false flag that they have now started putting out, and it's happening. And that's why you're going to start seeing more and more and more of that. The rhetoric in the government is going to become national security, and the Space Force is going to become involved, and you're going to see stuff hitting the skies that's them. In other words, us, not ET. And they're going to be punitive and damaging, and this is really going to happen. It's not a joke. It's really going to happen. So.
And Preston, are you following that as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of buzz about that in the UFO community among researchers and experiencers alike. That this is a real issue that we're having to deal with. There's no doubt that our governments have reverse engineered this stuff to a certain extent. I think, and Dolly can talk about this, there's limits to what they can reverse engineer. But yeah, I am worried about it. When Dolly told me, they don't really fly triangular craft, I started arguing with her. I'm like, well, yes, they do. I've got cases. She says, well, they're probably not ET. So I went through my whole files, and I couldn't find really any triangular craft. I found one or two, which I think they were probably describing something that's more boomerang shaped or chevron shaped. But yeah, I'm worried about that. The TR3B things. And
if you know that we have stealth technology, right? And all our stealth aircraft are matte black. And that's because it avoids radar. It's painted with a substance that its radar doesn't work on them. It can't hit them and ping them properly. And the TR3Bs are perfect examples of this. They're matte black. They have that stealth paint on them. And they have the 3 circles. But they have other things going for them that you all are not aware of. And that is, they're armed. They have technology on them that can do some real damage. There's another type, if you see a rectangular craft, and it's either matte black or matte silver, that is a crowd controller. It can hover over your head. It can move about 45 miles an hour and track people and crowd you into places you want to go. And they are armed with laser cannons. That's real. There's a couple other types that they have. They have a circular round type of drone that is anti-grav now, and it can watch everything you're doing. It's got good cameras on it, and it's what they call a lead. In other words, it can scope out what's going on around it and report back. It shows what's going on, and then they send the bigger guns in with it. They use that in warfare. It's real. It happens. So
I was talking to someone about the black triangles, and they were in belief that they are of our technology.
Yes, they are.
And the funny part about that was, I said, well, where do they land? Where are they basing these craft? Is it here on Earth? Is it on the moon? And this person told me, what if they don't land?
Well, they have to. They absolutely have to. The fuel they use has to be replenished. They don't use the same fuel as ET. It is radioactive, though. And most of them are unmanned, but they can be manned. It's remotely manned. I remember when I was in the Army, we had battle labs on Fort Benning where the guys were learning to fly drones way back when. And they could sit in a chair for 6, 7, 8 hours flying those drones, and they didn't come down for that amount of time. And when they did, they had to, charge them, do all kinds of things. Some of them were even built to carry munitions. they're capable of quite a great deal of technology that most people here don't even think about. If it's flying, it's got to have a person in it. No, it doesn't. Not at all. They have Raptor R22 that have intakes that are so small you can't see the engines. And it goes so fast. It's to protect the engine from being slammed by a bird. This machine can hit Mach 2 easily, but it also has the ability to turn on a dime. If you ever seen a Raptor flip over and go the other way, you're looking at real technology with this aircraft. And most people say, oh no, it could have been that. That'd be ET. Wrong. Yes, they can. And it's amazing what they can do.
And on that note, Preston Dennett, Dolly Safran, we will get you to hold on right there so we can go to break here at the bottom of the hour. When we return, more alien stories, more UFO stories with two of the best in the business, Preston Dennett and Dolly Safran, right here on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. All right, we're clear. What is that beeping sound?
It's annoying me. It's like, are you going to bed or not? Hold on a second, let me fix it. I will stop it. I'm kidding.
Go to bed already. The interview's over.
What are you doing? It knows I'm awake. Hold on a second. It's like, you got to quit moving around now. It's over. Your day is over.
It's time. Time for Betty Bye.
Yeah.
You're still blinking, Dave. I'm trying to get a pattern, and if it's 2 for yes, 1 for no.
I don't know. Friend, keep trying. I don't get it. I don't know if it's my camera at the angle and it's taking different light in at each time, or like each time I move. I don't know if it's controlled by my movement or if I just sit still.
It might be actually. It might be adjusting the light slightly. You know.
Let's see if I move it down a little bit. See if that changes anything. I can see my fatty chest and tummy now. Ugh. Oh. Fish, how you doing? Let's see here. Who else has hopped in here? Am I sunburned or the lighting? I probably got sunburned today. Look, I've been in frozen temperatures for the last 6 months. I'm starting to thaw out now.
That's funny. You have no idea how funny that is. It's so funny.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to enjoy this for about 3-4 weeks before mosquito season starts.
Oh gosh, I hate that.
Then those bastards start picketing around my doors, saying, "Come on out, Davey. We want some of that O positive."
You would hear a terrible thing. I'm a neg, and they don't bite me. I'm not susceptible to them at all.
Oh,
I can walk in a room full of mosquitoes, and they go, "Hurt." They leave me alone.
Yep. Just about like that. Let's see how that one works.
Oh, it's good.
That seems to be better. No. Jerk. All right, right there. Let's try that one.
You're just an electric personality, so nothing.
Oh, you stop. You stop. You're starting to flatter me.
You are. I was so jealous when you went to San Francisco for the UFO con. I was like, we couldn't go. And we were already in California and had to come back, and it's getting expensive to fly now. And I was like, dang nabbit, I wanted to go.
Dang nabbit.
Thank you, Derek. That my face looks like a tomato. Appreciate that. I eat DAY song. I eat garlic every day. It doesn't matter. I eat garlic every day.
Do you know what citronella is? It's a plant. Plant them all around your house. It helps get them to go away.
Dolly, when your mosquitoes are this big, they don't care. They don't care. They're like literally they are carrying picket signs around.
Yeah, they're like that in Miami. Yeah. Be careful, little knives. I catch you.
At least they're not a foot big like they were in prehistoric times.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you imagine?
Oh my God.
Right. Apparently, O positive blood is more attractive to
Sure is.
mosquitoes.
Yep.
It's like a sweet nectar.
Very tasty. Yeah.
We're like candy. Candy.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I've known this my whole life. My mom is O positive. My dad was A neg. I came out A neg like him, and my brother came out O positive like her. And he practically wore screens all over his body. You know, the hat with the stuff because he couldn't stand it. He breathed them in. They go back in the legs.
Oh, it's terrible.
Oh, I know.
Terrible. Yep. Yeah, them little bastards. Oh, I can't stand them. And they're right around the corner. Although the last couple of years it hasn't been too bad here because our bats are coming back.
Oh, how nice. Yeah.
And so, like during the fires of 2017, it wiped out a huge portion of the bat population in the forest fires, but now it's coming back. Quickly here, thank you, Human Carl, Derek, Susie, and Deb for the amazing super chats. Very much appreciate it. Here comes the second half hour, everybody. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Thank you for tuning us in. For your love of the woo. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Power UFO couple, Preston Dennett, Dolly Saffron are here. Preston, you can get all his books at prestondennett.weebly.net, or is it .com, Preston? .com or .com?
.com.
.com. There we go. And his better half, because I'm going to say that. That's just a simple thing to do. The better half, Dolly Saffron, ET experience for her entire life. Welcome back to the show, guys. We love you here. Let's get into some ET contact, because right before the break, Dolly, we were talking about how a lot of people who are used to contact are either getting shut down or are, experiencing contact from levels that they've never experienced before. For a lot of people who have never experienced this phenomena, Dolly, what is it like? What does it feel like? How do you know it's happening to you and not just a bad dream?
It leaves you with the 5 senses being active during the encounter, and you have actual smell memory, you have touch, taste memory, you have feeling memory, more intense than you would in a normal dream. You also know that you're being spoken to psychically. It's not a verbal communication, and it's very direct. Dreaming is very iffy, Annie, or it can be very disorienting in what people are saying to you, or you're trying to communicate. It's not as direct. ET communication is very direct. They make sure that you know that. Is separation psychically. It's like you can talk to somebody halfway across the universe in real time, psychically. And once you're known and the others know you, they can contact you at will, and you them. if you have a really good affinity for them or a really good relationship with them, you build the connection so it gets stronger and stronger. If it's somebody that I don't know, I have the 6 immediate questions. Who are you? What do you want? Where are you? And how can I maybe help you? And I'll wait for the answer after that. Sometimes I deal with what's going on the planet. Negative energy will come at me, or I'll have somebody who's passed and they show up in the house and they want my attention, and that's disconcerting at times for me. I have to explain to them, let's go for a walk and try to help them find the light. It is not usual for ETs to like everybody come at me, all at one time. Everybody takes a chance turning, say like, if they know that I haven't had any contact for a while, somebody open their, mind up and say, hey, what's going on? And I'll hear them and repeat back to them, I'm fine, I'm good. I am watched somewhat. Talata does watch me constantly. He is aware of me at all times. I'm used to that contact with him. We built that up over the years, and it continues to this day. So.
The idea that you have lived with this a long time, it's part of your life, it's part of many experiencers' life, but there's also a lot of people out there who are maybe in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, and all of a sudden out of nowhere they are being taken. Why does this happen? Is it about opening up people to the phenomena, or is it about opening up people because they have something special that maybe the aliens need?
It's more of they've been real healthy their whole lives and they're known to them, but they haven't really needed to help them because we have so much radiation coming at us because our magnetosphere is down. It's derazzing our DNA, and they have a way to help us build that back up. I mean, you have to notice that in the last 80 years, we have more autoimmune, heart problems, cancers, things like that. And they will suddenly realize this person needs help, and they'll bring them on board, help them with that, check them out, make sure they're okay, and then, send them home. That is their number one responsibility toward us. That's how they feel about it. We are their children, and they're not gonna, totally turn their back on us. They expect us to fix our own problems. They expect us to mature and evolve. But you don't let your babies run around sick, and that's what they do. They're helping.
Yeah, cases rarely are a one-off. When someone's taken on board for the first time, I think it's probably happened before. And they just weren't at a place where they could remember it or deal with it. And ETs at one point will usually make sure that a person has at least one fully conscious onboard experience that they can, sink their teeth into. But yeah, it's usually not a one-off. This almost always begins early in childhood, whether you know it or not.
I think people are becoming more conscious, by the way. The more people who are waking up, that's sort of like a pinball. It bing, 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 bing between all of us. We're talking about it freely, and people are paying attention now, okay? And they're remembering more and seeing more and developing that way. So.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, does it always start, Preston, at childhood?
For the most part, I'm not going to say always. I mean, I just interviewed a lady, Geneva, who had a really interesting story to tell, where she had a UFO hover over her for literally all night. She was out in the wilderness. She was at a very low point in life and went out to do primal screen therapy and was shouting at the universe because she was depressed. And this is when a UFO showed up. And she says it was really quite scary, but at some point she felt this incredibly loving, peaceful energy coming from it, and that there were beings inside there and they were watching over her. And I did a long interview with her to figure out, was this a one-off? She did have a prior sighting. She, following this, had incredible dreams of being on board, and talking to her, it's pretty clear that these were more than just dreams. But she says, no, I don't remember anything from childhood, really at all. Now, her brother did. So, I don't know. I think that it's possible that people don't always have it early in childhood. but she was let's see, 17 or 18 years old when she had her first sighting. So that's still pretty young. I'm not going to say it's always the case.
I've been saying this since February of 2011.
I think so.
In February of 2011, I want everybody to think about what were you doing in February of 2011, because during that time, I was on the ranch,
whatever
artifacts and doing
DEF
my
CON.
best to connect the data.
I don't know if there was interstellar because it was within our space. That is cislunar. That is between Earth and the Moon. And these are the orbs that the Russians saw with their radars that were designed to track satellites and also warn of ballistic missile launches from the United States. So these radars were tracking something that weren't satellites and were not ballistic missiles, and they were wondering what these objects were. And in preparation for the fact that they didn't know, they went to high alert. I mean, you expect them, there's an unknown, here they come, let's go to alert. And so they brought up the strategic rocket forces, their intercontinental ballistic missiles, put them on like a higher state of alert, whatever DEF CON system they used, they raised it. And because they raised it, we were able to detect the heightened awareness, which got, the Pentagon excited, right? And the Russians go, okay, all of a sudden, let's get them ready. We get excited as well. And so my job was to do some analysis of that event. The customer for me was the Deputy Secretary of Defense at the time. His name was John Deutsch. And he asked his briefer about, this incident that happened in Russia. And obviously he already knew about it because he probably got briefed by the Defense Intelligence Agency and the Pentagon Intelligence Services about what happened. And he wanted CIA as a second opinion. And so fine, I got the job to write the memo, did the research. And though I did not say that they were UFOs, I didn't say that. I said it's obvious that these radars, when detected something that was not a satellite and was not a ballistic missile launch.
That was my biggest confusion when I was asked to come out there in 2019 as an advisor. I gladly did it because we were never allowed to do a proper changeover
I don't know if there was interstellar because it was within our space. That is
not just the data I collected personally on the property, but as a security aspect, I wanted to get the new team up on avenues of approach on the property, security deficiencies on the property, and there was a lot of them. I mean, it was impossible to secure that place, but I wanted to pass that information over to kind of help the new team up, because if this is about disclosure and about helping everybody, reach a common goal, then everybody should have all the cards on the table. And when I was denied that, I was like, this is fucking stupid. And then when they reached out to me, I went out there, and then I was met with another curveball when I had a conversation, and the conversation went, number one question was, did you know about radiation on the property? And I'm like, what fucking, this is my exact words. I said, what fucking radiation? And I was just kind of like, what? Then the follow-up question was, did you know about $22 million? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then the last question, and when this individual said this, my head went through, I was pissed. He said, how does it feel to know you're possibly a guinea pig in all this? And I said, if that's true, I don't feel very good about it. And I literally felt sick to my stomach. And at that point, I was like, what the what? Then at that point, everything made sense, why we were out there alone. We had MRIs done. And all this is talked about in a 2012 Paracast interview with a guy named Chip. And so I'm not saying anything new. This guy talked about it in 2012, but he brought up good points that I totally forgot about, and just
people telling their stories
I don't know, man. I'm at the point now where
they're counting on the slew of time to wash this fuckery away, and I'm not going to let it happen, Chris.
No, and that's a good point, and that's exactly why I donated those images to the University of Maryland, so they can never erase that timeline of 2009 2009 to 2016. Nobody can ever erase that now. That is in the history books. And it was, this whole thing for me personally, it was about closure, because I have a family that is my focus. I have a professional career that's my focus. You know, the ranch, I'm just here as an advisor to kind of help people along the way if they have questions that I can answer during my timeline. And this whole thing's about disclosure or about closure for me, which is why I went to DC 3 times and had discussions about my time on Skinwalker. And hopefully the ball's going in the right direction now. But everything's out of my hands now, so now I'm just a patient observer.
And I'll get to the hands in a second, but now I'm fired up. You know what's crazy to me, Chris, is like, who else would you want to talk to?
There's some government.
You know, like,
clear to me. I think that's clear to
like these dudes that wrote a book that they weren't even fucking there, or a guy who served his country and wandered out there for fucking years. I don't get it. Why aren't you getting paid $10,000 to show up at fucking Phenomenon, dude? Like, this is bullshit. Like, you should be the one getting the goddamn money.
I do know.
It's not about that for me. It's just, at some point in this conversation, these guys like Stratton and everybody else, we're going to be in a room together. We're going to have a face-to-face conversation, and it's going to happen, because I will tell you right now, as this season goes forward, and I know Stratton's going to be on it, if a narrative is pushed that he was on Skinwalker Ranch, out there doing what we were doing, I'm going to go nuclear, dude. I just don't have the patience for it anymore.
I'm going to hold a celebrity boxing match. I'm going to fight Corey Good and David Wilcox at the same time. They can fight a 6'5" guy, and then you can box fucking Jay Stratton, dude. That'd be great. I'll be there. I'll do money for that shit.
Well, I don't want to box anyone. I don't want to box anyone. I just want to have a goddamn civil, normal conversation. Just a conversation. I think I'm owed a conversation, because I'm not representing just myself. I'm representing a small group of guys that also want this conversation. And I'm just tired of it, man. I'm really at the point now where I'm just fucking tired of everything, really.
Yeah. Let the hate consume you, dog. It's the only way you're ever going to be heard, man. Literally, it's just such ridiculous bullshit. These fuckers, man. They spent your money. If you're an American, they spent your money so Colm could sit in a fucking office and get a phone call from Chris. That Chris saw, what was it? He saw a wolf, like a crazy big wolf. He calls his boss, Colm, is like, hey man, there's like a fucking ancient extinct dire wolf running around, stalking us at night. Oh yeah, man, that's crazy, dude. Be careful. Click. All right, man. $22 million at work, baby.
Yeah, I don't have very many stories when it comes to Skinwalker, and that shocks a lot of people. I mean, the first year I was out there, of course, I'm trying to like figure this shit out. Like, what the fuck is going on out here? Like legitimately, this is no shit story here. My first day on Skinwalker Ranch, I debunked the dust particles that were being documented for over a decade. Over a decade, they were documenting goddamn dust particles inside Homestead 2 that was backscatter that I proved on my first day out there, because the guy that was out there with me, he had no idea that I was a hobbyist photographer. And next thing I know, we're shooting off, cameras inside Homestead 2. And he's like, oh my God, there's orbs. And I'm like, what? Let me see. I'm like excited, And I'm like, those aren't orbs, that's dust particles. And he got,
oh my God, it's my third uncle who passed away in 1974. He's here at Homestead 1. Look at him, he's an orb floating there.
And I was just like, what? And I need to remind people, before even coming to Skinwalker Ranch, I already spent almost 10 years in the Air Force. I worked for the DOE as a security police officer, where I had a Q clearance, working for the Nevada test site. I was currently working for 51 at the same time at Bass. So I already had a pretty good job idea of what special access programs were about. And when I got to the ranch, it was just a bunch of people shooting from the hip. And that's the honest truth. Because I can go out there right now with the entire NIDS team, and they're not going to show me one thing on the property that I don't know already. I will guarantee you I will show them things that they did not discover. And I got the pictures to prove it. I have all the evidence to prove what I'm saying. And I'm just at the point now where it's just like, everything is just spun so out of control. It's just, everything's out of control, where it's just like, I feel like just walking away. Really, I do.
Some dude's wearing a gold chain with a fucking, a dire wolf fucking gold chain around his neck, though, from that money, dude. It ain't you. That's what I'm saying, though. If they're going to pay anybody, they should fucking pay you. They're going to pay somebody. Fucking pay you. I mean, you were out there for years. That's the only reason why I brought that up. Because, like, someone's going to get fucking paid in ufology. And it might as well be an actual person that had an actual experience in an actual place, actually did actual things.
I'm not a mutilation researcher. I find it
yeah, I know. It's such a weird thing. Like, the whole thing is just so bizarre, man. I don't know. It's just...
Stephen Campion's in here.
Dude, I wish we could talk about the Department of Energy stuff so bad. Oh God.
And fucking Erica Lukes, dude. It's fucking Erica Lukes. Oh my God.
Hell no. I don't want to get, dude. I don't want to get. If I get a phone call
Hell
from the Department
no,
of
I
Energy,
hate Erica
I live in
Lukes.
the woods now. UFO Shane is gone. Like I live in a cabin, dude. Go ahead, Kimball.
I'm not gonna
Chris, this is so good, man.
Dolly does. She has a
Erica Lukes is a dumbass bitch cover-up artist.
Dolly haven't proven her to me.
It sounds like there's two
I'll
kind of
give you reason
stories
A.
you're telling,
We did
and
things to our meat here that they wouldn't dare to
point
think
out
about. We
what I
give
can
them
hear going on.
hormones.
You
We
can
give
tell me if
them
it's true, I guess. But there's like the
they're getting ready to
there's
give
like the
all
phenomena
cattle
itself
mRNA
and like the study
vaccines,
of it and like
because
you
they
know
say it can transfer to
the
them.
good
So
faith like scientific
this
effort
is
to
not
try
funny
and
anymore.
at least start
ET won't eat our meat.
collecting
They won't
data.
touch it. Bird
And
flu,
that's
all kinds of
being
things can affect them. They're not used to being
stymied,
there.
I guess,
They're not used to
by
being us
your other
all
story,
the
which is
time,
just
and they won't eat
kind
our
of
food,
typical
period.
corporate like bullshit.
That's reason number one.
I mean,
Reason number two
what
is
you're
the
saying,
way
what
they
you're
travel,
describing
they
is
can go home at
very
any
common
time
in the corporate
and
world.
eat their
Like
own
you
food,
drove
and
tour
they bring
buses
their
up in
own food on
Alaska
board.
when
They don't stay for too
Princess
long of
Cruises
time here.
merged
They get
with
back.
Holland
That's
America, whatever.
This
And
is
just the
not an
bullshit
issue.
that went
They have
on like was crazy.
billions
Like
of territory that they
there were
get
different
to,
practices and
all
like
of
different
these people are from,
standards in each
and they have plenty
company.
of food. They haven't wasted
And
their
so, you
environments
know,
like we have.
they had
They
this
haven't
new like
toxified
signal
the
they
people
wanted to
like
give the
we
bus
have.
drivers when they were backing out. And it was like harder to see than the old way. So I was like, hey, this older way we did it before was actually like the driver, you can see him better. It's raining every day and the mirrors are all foggy. They're like, nope, we're doing it this way. And it's just like this typical corporate attitude of just like, oh no, we don't actually give a shit about
I always laugh when people say, "Oh,
providing a
they're here to
value,
take over."
discovering
Like,
truth,
are you kidding me?
like
Really?
creating
They
a
have the choice of the
better,
entire
more
universe
safe,
and they want Earth,
you know,
poison,
system.
overpopulated,
It's about what we
polluted?
want.
Makes no sense.
And so, like,
I
Bigelow
want
was
to change
on the
topics here a
ranch.
little bit.
I don't know.
And go
I guess
into the idea that
what you're saying.
Bigelow was not
These people
on
are cover-up artists.
Well, no,
Screw
Bigelow
these
was
guys
on-
over
he
here
was there
too.
twice, right?
Okay.
Bigelow was never
they're
on the
from a
ranch, right?
different
I guess what I'm
dimension,
saying is that
different
part of me
timeline,
almost makes
whether
me,
they're time
like,
travelers,
what you're
whether they're
describing
from inner
is
Earth.
common
There
within
seems to be a
the
lot of
corporate world,
excuses
but in this
outside
context, it's
of
like, look, the whole
space
point of
and
this
some
was to
foreign
try and
technology
discover
has brought them
something about
across
the
the
paranormal,
universe
and if
to find us and our
when
very
you know
loud
property
planet
was
that we live
exchanged
on.
and acquired,
What's your thoughts on
there
this?
was no effort at all to
Yeah, I
actually
see this
transfer
even
any
within
like
the
valuable
UFO community, a
information.
resistance
That leads
to
me to
the
believe it was all bullshit.
extraterrestrial
It was
hypothesis.
Bigelow trying to get his money
It
on
irks me
some
because I don't
black money
understand
projects,
the resistance.
and it makes
It's a very
me
logical, almost
question
inescapable
Harry Reid and all that
conclusion
shit,
that there are
which I
other
don't want to
beings
do,
out
right?
there.
'Cause
We are here
I
on
want
the
to think
planet
that's all
ourselves.
true, but I'm just
We
like,
know we're living physical
I just think your
beings.
story is important, and I'm
Perfectly
glad you're
logical
saying
that
it.
there would be others out there. And that's
I think I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't. I mean, it's so
You
it's so
can call
bizarre,
them
man. It's just,
interdimensional
if you follow the money and you follow the players
one
involved,
of us
you know, this all
has
goes back to Hal
interdimensional
Puthoff
aspects.
and Kit Green and
ETs
Project
have evolved to a
Stargate in
point where they
1995, and then
can do
you go to
things
Mount
that
Wilson.
look
From Mount Wilson, they go to
like
Skinwalker.
interdimensional
And
magic.
then if you listen to Stephen Greer, which I don't know anything about that guy, but I know he's like beloved in the UFO community, but also hated in the community. So it just depends on which side you want. But you know, on that Toe interview that he did like 6 months ago at the 1 hour 17-minute mark, I have it memorized on purpose because it was glazed over. You know, Greer states that it was Colonel Alexander who used, and his sidekicks that used technology to scare the Shermans off the property so that way Bigelow can buy it. If 1% of that is true, if even 1% of that statement is true, which that's what he said on the record, then that changes the whole dynamic of the Skinwalker narrative, because now you have a situation where, you know, NIDS may have been the first test subjects to some type of non-lethal weapon systems program, and then we were a test subject, and then on and on and on, whatever, which is why in 2015 it was Hal Puthoff and Kit Green who approached Brandon Fugel to buy the ranch, because they wanted to keep the funding going for their research. It just makes sense to me. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out, but it's just, I think Carl the Crusher on his YouTube channel did a really good job breaking it down. He just posted like 2 days ago, and he does his research, and he really broke it down pretty well, better than I could do. I'm just kind of speaking from my viewpoint and my personal experience.
I agree with him. We are.
Yeah, Carl didn't give a fuck, man. And if you think about it, like if you think about it, I mean, I don't like Greer at all. He's a liar. He's a fucking liar. That being said, he has had real data at real time. Just, he's a liar, but that's still besides the point of him, especially his early research when he built up, the legacy that he's burned to the fucking ground, which, by the way, people in this UFO community do themselves. And once again, it's their fault they're ruining their legacy, not yours. It's your job to make sure that you let them know what they're fucking doing. Maybe they'll correct themselves. Probably not. But that being said, when it comes to like Greer and that, I would need to see probably Chris when he had access to that, and I'd have to put it on my scale of is this the more bullshit Greer era or the less. But I mean, Hal Puthoff and all them, they talk about this kind of shit. Carl talks about it, these energy weapons and stuff all the fucking time, putting implanting abduction thoughts in people's heads and shit. I wish it was alien.
Right. And that's Colonel Alexander's background is non-lethal weapons testing. As a matter of fact, you can go to his website right now, off his Twitter page, and look. And he was awarded in 2016 for a non-lethal weapons award in Brazil. I can't make this shit up. It's right there in people's face. It's right there on his goddamn webpage that he was awarded a non-lethal weapons. And I'm not saying that he's the one that's deploying this technology, because I don't think he could, but I know he could probably develop it and somebody else could deploy it. That's how these programs work. But something's going on. And if you look at his background right now on Wikipedia or whatever, it says, part of his background is military applications of the paranormal. Or I'm just like, what the hell are you talking about? And I don't know. It's so ridiculous. It feels like it feels like a movie. It feels like a bad B movie.
Dude, I was introduced to a new term tonight, which I know what LARPing is, but Cambion down there, he brought up this super soldier. You know what the super soldier fucking bullshit is, Chris? The goddamn Corey Goods and shit.
Oh, those are the worst people on this planet.
We'll be right back, everybody.
They called it LARPing, and I was like, man, but at least LARPers like take time to build a foam sword and like pitch some tents with Kool-Aid that isn't poisoned, and they're out here frolicking around like learning instruments, and these fucking super soldier guys are just fat dudes in a chair. Like, if you're going to get sent back to Earth from Mars, like, maybe have them give you some abs, you dumb piece of shit.
It was Stephen Cambion's channel where I learned about Corey Good, and I was blown away. I had no idea that people believed this shit. And the dude sold millions of dollars in books. I was stunned that people believe it. But this is my point, and this is why there needs to be a balance to this conversation. You need to have constructive criticism, like Green Street or anybody else that wants to pull the darkness, pull the light, just speak the truth, where the evidence leads. Okay, if the truth is the truth, bottom line. If that pisses some people off, then so be it. I'm not saying that the Skinwalker guys out there are trying to make millions of dollars. I have no idea what their agenda is. I really don't, but I do know a couple of them personally. I know they're genuinely trying to figure stuff out, kind of like how we were trying to figure stuff out during my time. I was all in back then, back in 2010 when this was in the mainstream. I was all in. I was like drinking the Kool-Aid, trying to figure shit out. And there was times where I was like, oh yeah, maybe that is an orb. I'm like, what the hell am I even looking at? And then I would go home and try to process.
At it, and he said, shoot that thing down now. I don't need to get the heat Biden's gets. And I think those type of balloons are always up there, and they went after them because it was good politics to do it. They didn't respond to the first one, which this isn't really a political site per se, but I think we've been compromised by the communist Chinese, and that's why we didn't shoot the original balloon down. It traversed the entire continental United States.
Right.
And we had the secretary, the head of the CIA, the man who was the head of the CIA. His son's in Congress with me, and I know him. And he was head of the CIA under Obama, and he was Obama's chief of staff. He said he would have shot it down over the Aleutian Islands before it even got into Alaska. So I think that we got a real problem. That's a different issue, the Chinese. But I think those 2, 3, and 4, I think they were probably man-made. One of them there's a question about, but I think that I've talked to some people that would know, and they think that as well. But
yeah,
I just don't think something's going to travel thousands of light years, and that we're going to be able to knock it down.
Yeah,
we might be able to knock it down with something electronic, because I just don't understand their technology. But be able to fly at those speeds, I would just think that it was have a blocking device or a cloaking device or something else. So I just don't buy it.
Yeah, it's a good argument, and it's been the argument for a lot of different cases of apparent crashes. Why are they crashing? If these are hyper advanced interstellar vehicles, why would they crash? And for me, I only really have two, logical explanations for that. One is that we're disengaging them and we have some form of exotic weaponry, some sort of electromagnetic weaponry. I'm not 100% sure. The second is that they're actually not crashing, and it's more like a technological breadcrumb trail, and they're actually leaving these things for us to find, figure out, discover, and slowly piece the pieces of the puzzle together. So I'm not 100% sure where I sit on either of those, but I feel like it has to be one of those two, because the idea of them accidentally crashing a hyper-advanced spacecraft seems very, very unlikely to me.
Yeah, I was told by somebody whose father was at Roswell in the Army Air Corps that it was a mid-air collision, right, between two extraterrestrial type crafts, and so that's I've come into that belief, but I don't know. I just don't know. I think that's where we recovered something, though. I think that's the one.
Oh, me too. 100%. Me too. Absolutely.
The military intelligence comes out
who just turned
all across the board says we recovered a saucer. And the next day, that poor lieutenant colonel, his name escapes me right now on the paper. He's
holding the tin foil, the little bit of tin foil,
tin foil up, and and it's like, no, that ain't happening. No, somebody's even gone as far as there's a piece of paper he had in his hand, and they've taken the words. And it's basically just says, make sure we hoax these people or something, whole deal.
That's your second
but
job,
I think there's been others. But yeah, I just don't. I think too, you could have competing interests out of this world. I think you can't. There's one, there's more. Right. You see what thermite in your house, you better realize you got a bunch of them.
Good to have you back,
and
buddy. Another great veteran.
You see one extraterrestrial craft. Now all of a sudden, these pilots are telling me they're seeing them on a regular basis.
Come on in.
And so, and that they haven't been for quite some time. So there's a lot more going on here than we're being told. And I've just looked too many pilots in the eye and have nothing to
Rhonda Malpati, welcome back. And thank you to our super chatters, Human Carl, Derek, Susie, Deb, Jeff,
possibly
and Jerry.
ruin their careers.
We very much appreciate the love.
It's just there's too much out there. And like I said, until somebody walks out of one of those labs with a video of a craft or a something, that piece of foil that they walk out and throw down on the ground and it pops back out to its original state, some sort of fluid metal. I don't think you're gonna see much happen. It's just gonna be this trickle effect, and that's what they're doing to get interest in Congress. So these UFO folks, and they're very persistent, and they're good folks. I go to church for some of them. And every time I'm on the internet, somebody says, when are we having a UFO? Oh, and I do want to tell you, I spoke with Chairman Comer of Oversight. And right now, we're in the middle of a million oversights. We had 8 hearings one way. This guy's just he's a workhorse, Comer, and he's out of Kentucky. And I went to him, me and Luna. She's from Florida, I believe. And she's former Air Force. She's a big UFO person as well. And I went to Comer, and I said, I'd like to have a hearing on this. And he said, you have to get approval for the speak. I went and saw McCarthy, and he gave me his word. We're going to have a hearing. So we're going to ask some tough questions. We're going to have the top people in the world there. And it's going to be good. And we'll make sure I'll let you know.
Yeah, no, I saw you make a couple of statements about this on Newsmax, about having hearings, about speaking with Kevin McCarthy, and handling this through the oversight committee. And I agree with you. We need to ask tough questions. I'd like to know tough questions on this subject sound like to you, because this is one of the issues I think we have with the government approach to this. It's that the vast majority of folks in government don't have a clue how deep this goes. They don't understand just how much secrecy has occurred since before most of us were even born by the military-industrial intelligence complex. You know, the waters run very deep, which means Congress and the Senate need to be matching that depth with their investigations, with their questioning. Otherwise, the powers that oversee this issue are just going to let their own narrative run riot, and it will be a new type of cover-up. So what are the tough questions in your mind?
Well, I'm not going to tell you everything because they monitor this stuff, and their thing now is
are we being visited
by
all of these different species?
I'm sure they'll want to discredit me. But I got news for them. I discredit myself enough. I don't have to worry about it. I don't need outside influence. And but
yeah,
we're going to ask
yes, we are
where, when, why. We've got some
species,
documentation, some people that we've been fortunate enough to get. Some of it, freedom of information. Yeah, they've heavily redacted. And we're going to find out why that's redacted and why. But the people we bring in are going to help us really, I think, more than anything else, because they'll be out under that cloak of secrecy or evil or whatever you want to call it within our government that is protecting it. And I think too, we need to put forth the theory that what's going on right now, it's you know, with the Pentagon and all of them, why they're doing this. I want people to know they're doing this. They're trying to get tax dollars, and why in the world we got 3 different people studying the same thing, 3 different groups, and why the Pentagon has signed 2 gentlemen to it. They can't even spell UFO. You know, they don't have a clue. You know, they don't have a clue. And they're just career bureaucrats.
Sense of humor.
They're probably patriotic men, but they're not.
This is another type of being which is not super well known.
Interesting. Isn't one of them is Sean Kirkpatrick? Is that right? Sean Kirkpatrick?
Yeah, I believe so.
I found out something interesting about him the other day, Tim. So Sean Kirkpatrick was sitting on, he was either on the board or he was heavily involved with Science Applications International Corporation at the same time that Admiral Bobby Ray Inman was the director of Science Applications International Corporation, which is one of the highest in terms of suspected think tank kind of black budget institutes for handling this kind of material. And I mean, I got Admiral Bobby Ray Inman on the record. I don't know if you saw that interview, but I did challenge him about you know, his involvement, and Bob Exler, the NASA mission specialist who got him on record in the 80s, basically admitting the crash retrieval programs are real. I mean, this guy literally got Admiral Bobby Ray Inman to say on a phone call that he doesn't know if this will ever come out, but maybe it will. You know, so there was a clear admission. And Sean Kirkpatrick was actually working alongside Admiral Bobby Ray Inman at a very interesting place, SAIC. So I don't know if that's something to keep notes of. He might have a little bit more of a portfolio on this issue than we currently are aware of.
I'm writing his name down now, brother.
Yeah, definitely something to keep note of. I know you were recently invited to take part in a classified briefing that was out in Florida, right?
Correct.
Okay, so
is there anything you can say about it? I know we've heard a few things about heat signatures. And
yeah,
I think the weird part for me and for a lot of people to understand is, you know, you can have a bunch of grays, Preston,
said
that are
most of it. Matt just said
that, you know, the ones that are
he became aware of a craft that, at least in his mind, and anybody else he's talked to didn't,
where some of them are here to help guide you and bring you to that spiritual enlightenment that you need, but others don't seem to be as kind. I mean, how do we tell them apart?
That's easy. Our perception is critical here. Everybody sees things a little bit different from everybody else. Not everybody here is a really good observer and is questioning everything they see and mapping it in their mind, an image.
What the fuck they're saying? Mr. Beast said I could react to his videos. So I'm able to watch Mr. Beast. I hope YouTube is on top of that, because I hope they're not striking people. I know people are uploading reaction videos, but I don't know about live streams and stuff.
Exist. It did not exist. And its heat signature was on the bottom of it. It was Bell or elongated, I mean not elongated, but a compressed saucer type situation. And it had some particular things on it that, you know, I'm not sure. I just don't know. I don't know. You know, we talked to the pilots, and they described what they saw, and I won't tell you what it was, but I leaned over to man. You know what a spook is, right? They're CIA operative, whatever. I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I've been to utilize them.
A pilot said something, and you know, and it was sort of one of those. After he said it, I could tell he thought, "Damn, I shouldn't have said that." And then I leaned over to Matt and I said, "Looks like the spook is getting nervous." And he looked up and said, "Yeah, I said something that they should have." And but we're getting closer. We're getting closer. You know, every day you get. I used to. When I was sold insurance, I called it the rule of 17, which I just made up. But it was, you know, you get 17 no's or 16 no's, and that 17 might be your yes. You know, on a sale, a big insurance policy. So we just got to keep going down this path, man. And you and I are going to keep talking. And I was told guy I used to work with called me. He called me, and I was out of town, and I thought something was wrong. I hadn't talked to him while he was an older gentleman, and probably close to 80. And he called me Timbo. Timbo? And I knew who it was. I said, "Hey," you know, and I called him by his name. And he said, him and the wife, you know, he gave his wife's name, just saw Ancient Aliens. And I thought, well, here it comes. You know, he's going to hit me with the little green man and, you know, getting abducted and probed and all this stuff. And he goes, "I've never told you this story before. I've never told anybody this story except his wife." And he hollered back to her. He said, "What year was that, honey?" I thought she said it was late 50s. And he'd been in the Navy. And he was on a ship, I think call him a tin can. I believe that's a destroyer. And they were out in the middle of the ocean, and a sub came up, and they were meeting one somewhere, you know, and they said that sub went down, and they watched it fire a missile. They said it was probably one of the first underwater missile firings that had happened, because this was, you know, it's not something that we've been doing since the Second World War. Anyway, so he said after all that, you know, they saw it and they thought, "Wow, this is wild," you know. And then and they were getting ready to go about their activities, and he said that this huge craft, he described it to me. He said the other thing was 2 city blocks. He's a country boy, but he said it was 2 city blocks, and it hovered over them, no noise. And he described it as it pulled up. And he said you could see like something similar to portals or something around it. And you know, it was the classic craft that you would, you know, the saucer thing.
It's a saucer shape, yeah.
And then he said just like that, it just disappeared. No noise, no nothing. And they were just.
This was back in the 1950s.
Yeah, he's like, "What the hell?" You know. And then when they got back to port, wherever this was, he said they were met. These three gentlemen in suits, the men in black.
Of course, yeah.
Secret Service, not Secret Service, CIA or one of those military intelligence groups. Basically debriefed them and told them, you didn't see anything. This is national security. This is, is enough. You did not see anything, and it was, you were never to repeat it, or you could be put in prison. And that's, people honored that stuff back then.
Yeah,
they believe the government.
Yeah,
they don't now for good reason.
Did this come out? Did it come out of the water?
No. He said they were because he told me, the old guys will tell you, my mom and daddy were like this before they died. And I don't know how your mom is. You ask them what time it is, and they'll tell you how to make a watch. They give you all the scenario that was going on around them. And I thought this sub was gonna, when he shot the missile, I thought he was gonna say it hit a UFO or something, but it wasn't anything like that. And but they. And I've heard similar stories. I mean, there's no reason for him to tell me that story. He called me out of the blue, and I was, and it was just in the detail, and he's hollered at his wife, "Honey, what year was that? That I told you," and I could hear her hollering back to him. So I mean, all that kind of thing. When somebody's lying to you, they're reading you a script. And I worry about some of these spooks too. They bring that information in, so they're gonna. That Tim Burchett, did you hear that crazy story he told? When they just make up.
Yeah.
So, and that's something. But I get those all the time, brother. And this is somebody I've known for 30 years. His family has been close to his family, and they've been supporters of mine almost from day one. And there's no reason. You hear these astronauts tell these stories, and we're still in denial about it. The government, in some circles. I mean, you got, what's his name? Gordon Cooper.
Well, I was about to say, you had Gordon Cooper literally saying a UFO landed on a dry lake bed, and they recorded this.
Yeah, and that landing craft came out.
Yeah. This is an astronaut. This is a national hero, and
this guy, he never would have to buy a beer his entire life. He'd walk in any bar, man, you're Gordo Cooper. Can I buy you a beer? Yeah, sure. I didn't take a call. I mean, people like that. And why would he have to ingratiate, or whatever the term is, his reputation? Why would he have to say anything other than man, I was an Apollo astronaut back when it was badass, back when you did.
It's not like that. You don't need to show off any more than saying I'm a NASA astronaut. You don't need to add anything else to that. So no, I agree with you, brother. I mean, I just see no reason for these people to be lying about this whatsoever. And so, I mean, you know, and we know this has been going on long time. It is real. There is a very, very real situation happening, and we want to see people getting to the bottom of it. Do you feel that the intel that was provided to you during this briefing represented the necessary level of national security to kind of merit it being classified, or would you dispute the need for this particular briefing to actually be classified?
Well, if it hadn't been for Matt Gaetz, we wouldn't have been briefed on it, because they turned us away. We got down there, and then they started to brief us on something that's very important, but the part that we flew down there they were not going to allow it to happen.
Oh, really? And then what?
I said it happened. They started at Gaetz. We wouldn't have been briefed on it, because they turned us away. Well, if it hadn't been for Matt Gaetz, we wouldn't have been briefed on it, because they turned us away. We got down there, and then they started briefing us on something that was very important, but the part that we flew down there they were not going to allow it to happen.
Oh, really? And then what?
I said, we're going to get down there, and they're just going to either lie to us, tell us some bogus deal, or we're not going to get it. And he said, and there was it was two biggest dogs bumping chests, and call was made to Washington, and then Washington called down there and said, give them the information.
How long was the briefing, roughly?
I don't know, maybe an hour for the first one, and then then we had to leave because they were trying to scramble. They didn't think could pull any weight. There's a new game in town. Republicans are in power.
Right.
And, all I'm talking about is cutting the budget. I'm going to be cutting that Pentagon budget.
Yeah, I'm going
to be cutting that Pentagon budget. All I'm talking about is cutting the budget. I'm going to be cutting that Pentagon budget.
Yeah, I can't imagine the Pentagon folks are very happy to talk to you.
They're not going to talk to me. They 435 of us. They don't need me. You'll see when I get close to the target, somebody will start sniping at me. They'll bring my third grade best friend out or girlfriend out and say that, I pulled her hair on the playground or something. But that's the way they do. They destroy people, man. This is the real deal. I don't think people realize that it is the real deal. And and they put garbage out in the movies and stuff like that to say, oh, they don't do that. People like that are all crazy when they talk about it. And then, that's kind of the perception, and I'm okay with it. But I've made a career out of people underestimating me.
I mean, you seem like such a laid-back guy, Tim. How do you deal with it, man? How do you deal with the bureaucracy and all the bullshit? Because you seem like such a genuine dude. I feel like you must get so frustrated.
Thank you. I don't know if you can see it or not, but that right there, that's my mama during the Second World War. She flew an airplane, dude. And here's my daddy. Pictures of him elsewhere, but that's daddy right there. That's with mama. That was when I was a young steady rep, and they were both 11. But they instilled in me some pretty tough values, and Daddy didn't have to go fight the Japanese. He was too smart. He was smart, and the Marine Corps sent Daddy to Georgia Tech to become an officer. He was afraid he was going to miss the war, so he just didn't take his midterm exams, failed himself out. And he was on 2 invasions, Okinawa, Peleliu and Okinawa. He was on Okinawa, and they dropped the bomb on Japan because they thought they were going to have to go into Japan. And then he went to China and fought the communists. Then he went to the University of Tennessee and fought the communists over there for 40 years. And then, of course, Mama lost her oldest brother, fighting the Nazis, and so she did her part, flying an airplane. And I got a cool wife and a beautiful little girl. Married my wife. My wife was a widow, and I adopted her little girl. And man, I worry about our world. And if we quit fighting, I was the last House member to leave the House floor on January 6th during the riots. I mean, I just, not the biggest one up there, but we're ready to fight. And we got to fight for this world. Those powers that be are evil, man. They're evil. And it's like these cartels down in Mexico. I was just on the border. They're getting, a lot of them are getting out of the drug business, and they're selling people. They're making $30 million a month, bringing people in. It's not just prostitution; it's slave labor and things like that. And man, they're just evil in this world, dude. We just got to fight it. You cannot give up. You can't give up. Every day, I tell you, I'm a Christian, not a very good one. I pray every day. I said, Lord, just get me through this day. And some days I pray in Congress, just get me through this next hour, Lord. And He does. But we got to keep fighting. And this UFO issue is really part about what it's all about, because the secrecy and the arrogance of this bunch is what it's about. Money, obviously, and power somehow. They either got the technology and don't want us to have it, and these corporations are trying to get it out, and the arrogance of this bunch. They won't even let you know. They won't even release the Kennedy files. So I have no faith in any of it. And I know people say, well, you're in government, you're saying that about yourself. Say, well, hell yes, I am. I'm saying it about the whole system. And we just got to keep fighting, dude. So That's it. I didn't mean to get off on any preaching. I apologize.
No, it's I agree with you, bro. I agree with you, and I think that it's the UFO subject. It's one facet, it's one little symptom. There's so much going on, so much corruption. So it's
Kennedy files. So I have no. And I know people say, "Well, you're in government. You're saying that about yourself." Say, well, hell yes, I am. I'm saying it about the whole system, and we just got to keep fighting, dude. So. That's it. I didn't mean to get off on any preaching. I apologize.
No, it's I agree with you, bro. I agree with you, and I think that it's the UFO subject. It's one facet, it's one little symptom. There's so much going on, so much corruption, so much bad handling of money and power and influence and resources and foreign policy and all of it. So we're in a very interesting time. It's very chaotic. There's also good things happening, and there's amazing technological advancements, and it's just an interesting time. I get the sense that we're almost kind of on the precipice of shifting into a next stage of humanity, and I think when that happens, things look very chaotic. It's a bit like in your own personal life. If you're kind of getting to a point where you need to change, things kind of collapse around you, don't they? Everything starts collapsing around you, and you're like, oh my god, why is this happening? And then you realize, oh, this was necessary chaos, this was necessary destruction. So I'm kind of staying optimistic in saying that all of the wildness right now, it's part of a process, and people like you are part of that process by trying to keep it honest and trying to get us into a new perspective with this stuff. So I appreciate that all of it.
Maybe you ought to start a cult.
Yeah, maybe, right? Yeah, we don't have enough cults around right now, do we, Tim?
No, they're kind of thin, really.
Yeah. No, for real though, I always appreciate catching up with you, and just keep knocking down the doors, brother. Keep knocking down the door.
All right, brother. God bless you, and take care of your sweet mom. All right, man. When they're gone, they're gone.
Yes, sir. All right. Take care of yourself, brother.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, man.
All right, brother. God bless you, and take care of your sweet mom. All right, man. When they're gone, they're gone.
Yes, sir. All right. Take care of yourself.
Thanks, brother. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, man.
Damn.
Now, I find it all really confusing. Honestly, I don't fully understand their intent behind that term.
I want to control the narrative.
Preston Dennett has always been fucking like counterintelligence shit, dude. I've always gotten a weird vibe from Preston Dennett. Always felt like he's a spy too. And probably Dolly Safran is too. I don't even know, dude. Like, I don't know how old these spies can be. They probably need work too. They do a year here and there. Work.
Tap him. He was very sarcastic. He was sarcastic in a way you can't even imagine. He knows very well what they're looking at. They've had the last 50 years of really good technology to already scope them out and know what's going on. And for them to sit there and not tell you the truth and give you 10,000 reasons why this is going to be so hard to coordinate.
These two people are fucking counterintelligence, dude. They're like intelligence and counterintelligence.
They're still not talking about contactees at all, or landing cases, or certainly not crash retrievals.
No, and he made it very clear that they're not going to. That was the takeaway from it. You know, only we know what's going on. Yeah. Crazy.
I'll ask this question right now since we have time.
Yeah, man, they need to talk about that stuff. That'll be a fucking good a good revelation, man, to the masses. That would be awesome.
Joel Jones and Estelle Parsons. Still think holds up. I know they're remaking it. I'm worried about it. So don't think they're gonna do a good job, but we'll see.
And I'm 65, so the first movie I ever saw that I was allowed to watch was The Day the Earth Stood Still with Michael Rennie. I love that movie, and I like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's my all-time favorite number 2. So
I would say that one's number 1 for me, and number 2 is the name's all of a sudden escaping me. Flight of the Navigator.
Oh God, I love that. That is so
cool. That one, yeah, not too long ago.
You know what? I think Flight of the Navigator, Disney had to be tipped off on that. That is way too real for what people are experiencing with craft, you know, and people who've flown the craft. It's just they had to be tipped off. They had to be.
I agree. Sorry. I agree 100%. That is a really cool movie. It really is.
I like that one. The kids flying the craft, and that's exactly what happened to Dolly. That's happened to Jay Gardner. That's happened to a lot of people I've interviewed. So, yep.
The thrill of it all, absolutely. I mean, you had been with me, you would have seen me hopping up and down in the seat. Literally, everything I got to see that day was just blowing my mind. I mean,
I bet.
All day.
All right, guys, get you to hold on right there. Thank you, Human Carl, Derek, Susie, Deb, Jeff, and Jerry for the awesome super chats. Thank you for the love and support. If you're looking for Spaced Out Radio gear, you can find it on our website, spacedoutradio.com. And here we go, everybody. Next half hour next. Past the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Final time tonight, we have the great team of Dolly Saffron and Preston Dennett, where we are talking aliens and UFOs all night long. We're going to continue with audience questions here. Let's go over to Derek, who wants to give me some of his poker winnings. Absolutely, you should, Derek. Absolutely, you should. I appreciate that. Let's go to Jeff. Is CE5, Preston, we'll start with you on this one, the law of attraction?
I think to a certain extent, yeah, you like attracts like. I think ETs will hear people who put out a telepathic message. Consciousness is key when it comes to CE5s. So yeah, I'm going to just say a simple yes with that.
How about for you, Dolly?
Yes. If you lift up your consciousness and put a message out, if they can't physically be here, they'll try to contact you psychically. That has happened at CE5s, where people definitely getting a message. Sometimes, though, it depends on who's running the CE5. You have to be really careful because you can call up something you don't want there. And I'm talking about, negative entities on this planet that will show up for them. So you have to be really good at what you do, and then you have to have somebody who's working the CE5 that knows what they're doing to guide you through it. Because anything you're thinking and feeling, you can pull in. That's absolute. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they'll show up for just one or two people there too, and no one else will see. I've heard, well, that happened in one of Dolly's things. It happened in some of the CE5 groups I was doing. Some people would see stuff and others wouldn't.
Awesome. Okay, let's move on to Angela here. So the government is sending negative thought messages which override the positive ET messages?
Sure. You watch TV every day? You listen to the news media? Do you play video games? Are you in the alternate world with those big masks on your face? You bet. They have a way of messing with you, yes.
Yeah, the media is somewhat fear-based. It loves a good, scary story, but our governments are putting forth, using our tax dollars.
Yeah, right. This bitch has no idea what the technology
is.
I
don't think is true. It's one of the reasons I think research in the subject is so important. I don't think the ETs are here to hurt us or take over. I understand it can be very scary, but I honestly don't feel like they're a threat. I don't. They've been here forever, far longer than we have.
Oh, I get you there. I get you there. And you know what? Let's get to another question here from our audience. This time we are going to head to Ian over in the UK. Dolly and Preston, what do ETs eat?
Not Reese's Pieces.
No. They like vegetables. They like fish. They like fruit.
Yeah, me too.
They will eat meat. I eat them, but only not on board. They will eat meat where their homeworlds are. They eat their own, and it's fresh. They have, you know how we have omnivore mouths. Our teeth are spiked as well as crunchy. They have more of the needle type teeth, and they really love fish for that reason. They're big fish eaters. I gave Mama a banana once, and I brought it on board with me, and I said, "Will you eat the banana?" And I opened it up, and I halved it, and I offered her half. And she smelled it. She says, "Yes, I've smelled these before." And she said, "I'm not sure." And then she said, "For you, I'll take a bite." I said, "Okay." So she took a bite, and she went, bleh. She did not like it. But she'll eat the hell out of an apple, okay? She likes figs and things like that, and grapes. Talada doesn't eat, so I've never, wouldn't know what he would eat. I know the Anunnaki love fruits and vegetables and fish as well. And they do eat red meat as well. So.
I interviewed one guy, Kevin Cameron. He was a medic. He was taken on board and saw praying mantis ETs and asked them what they eat. And they said, "We eat fruits and vegetables and fish mostly."
That's interesting.
Yep.
That is very interesting. I would have never suspected fish, because a lot of times when I hear of this stuff, it's always that aliens are vegan and they're plant-based and they don't want people eating meats of any source.
They don't want us eating our meats. Our meat is tainted, and they think it's unhealthy for us to stop.
Ron James, Accidental Truth Torrent.
Messed with the vegetables as well, so they're now the big thing with them is just, y'all just stop polluting yourselves. Stop it. You're not eating healthy here. Period.
All right, let's continue on. Let's go to Mike. Any reports of dogs being
Pirate Bay
pets
proxy
having chips put in them that you know of?
I had my first dog my mom got after I disappeared for a day from the house, 6 hours. And she was a retired German Shepherd police dog, and her name was Heidi. And they spent 2 weeks training her to be with me and to, know that I'm the one she's guarding. And right after that, I was taken up, and this time I remember because they brought Heidi with me. They actually let her on board with me, and she stayed with me the entire time. You see them petting them; they love animals. When I was working in the zoo, my family zoo, we had a gibbon named Sarah, and I loved Sarah very much. And Sarah went up with me a couple times. They gaga goo goo over animals. They love animals. You can bring your dogs when they come and get us, or your cats. That's not a joke.
Yeah, that's a great question because I've actually just been going through the databases I have, asking that exact question. And yeah, 100%, they will take people on board with their dogs. And mostly dogs is what I've heard. I've got a few cat cases, but there was one case which made me laugh out loud when I heard it, because this guy's kind of a hermit type guy, hunter, and he has his dog Hunter Bone. And the ETs came and pulled them both on board, and his dog Hunter Bone went straight for the grays and tried to bite them, so they instantly paralyzed him. And he says Hunter Bone floated around that ship like a stuffed dog for the whole time. And finally they let him go, and yeah, people are taking on board with their thoughts.
That is hilarious. All right, let's move on to.
I want a fucking torrent.
Are abductees currently incarnated ETs?
Oh, that's a good question. In this universe, we're all in source together, even the ETs. We're all consciousness. You can be born and reincarnate anywhere in this universe you want to be. Just because you're here doesn't mean that you're here permanently. So you can be an ET sometimes, you can be a human sometimes, you can be, here. You can go anywhere. It's a thing.
Yeah, I'm going to say yes to that. That's what Sarah Shaw and one of the people in the Tonga Canyon contacts were told.
Tonga de Longa Badaga.
Lindemann had a case like that. Edith Fiore as well. One of her clients was told that you were one of us in a past life.
Tonga la banga la longa
Probably happened to me. I have some memories of that. Jay Gardner I interviewed. He believes that. Another guy. Gosh, I forget his name. He's in one of my books. Absolutely believes he was in a prior life. I think probably all of us at some point will incarnate as ETs. We haven't already.
All right, let's continue on. Let's go to Sovereign. Someone recently put a pin on the Malibu underwater base, and Google left it up. Do you think this base extends inland? And how far?
Yeah, well, I can answer that because I certainly looked into it. I've done a bunch of investigation into the USO, unidentified submersible objects off the coast there, and put them on a map. They were clustered around this.
I can use my Nordic VPN.
I am not so
Nordic
sure ETs
VPN.
built it. From my understanding, this is like an ancient monument. As far as I know, there is a tunnel that goes through all the way to Area 51, and perhaps even farther.
NordVPN, open
I'm
up.
not so sure it's an ET base as we would think of it.
Open up.
But I don't think it's a natural structure either. Because I did talk to one guy who talked to a Native American elder, and they said, "Oh, we know about this. We didn't construct it. The sea levels used to be much lower, and they could fish off the end of it. But yeah, I believe it's an artificial construction. I don't know that I would call it an ET base necessarily.
Matangalo.
Do you think then, second part of this question, that there are more bases in the mountains?